Let's get loco.
Loco? 4 locos, exactly.
2. Actually, it's 2 locos. We have 2 4 locos.
So 8 loco.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh,
all right.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
It's green, not black.
It's green and it doesn't taste like Mountain Dew, and I'm a little disappointed. Oh, God.
You know what this tastes like?
What?
Tastes like something you would drink when you have a cold.
It tastes like NOS.
Oh.
It tastes like NOS with alcohol in it.
Yep.
Not the car liquid, the energy drink. Okay, so that's what that tastes like. Ugh.
Premium malt beverage with natural flavor, certified color, and FD&C yellow number 5.
I think I prefer beer.
Yeah. So, natural flavor, like, where in nature did they get this flavor from?
The ground. They found it in nature. It's just fish juice.
Yeah,
juice.
you know that stuff that Kansas sardines are packed in? Yeah, we just basically brewed that into a malt drink. Yeah.
It's mustard, usually.
Yeah.
They're usually packed in mustard.
Sometimes they're packed in, like, olive oil.
Yeah. It's all of those things just mixed together. I'm going to set that down.
You know what mixes them together, right? Assembly lines.
Okay.
They're on assembly lines, machines.
Okay.
Machines
I
are
was
taking
thinking
our
about
jobs.
those things that mechanically separate things by spinning it real fast.
Oh, centrifuges?
Yeah, centrifuges. That's what they're mixing it with.
Yep.
So the gameplay you're watching should be Banjo-Kazooie, specifically the re-release for the Xbox 360, but put on the rare replay for Xbox One. So you're watching it from an Xbox One that is the Xbox 360 version of the game, which is a remake of a Nintendo 64 game.
It's not the real Banjo-Kazooie.
No, it's not. But it's one of my favorite games of all time. Way up there.
Right up there with better than Super Mario 64 in your opinion?
Yes. I'm not a huge fan of Super Mario 64. I've played it. Not a huge fan. I like Sunshine and I like Odyssey and I like Galaxy 1 to an extent, but Super Mario 64 I never got into. But Banjo-Kazooie is one of those like perfect games in my opinion that there's nothing wrong with it, and if you think except for the only thing is in the original 64 version I will say it was a fucking pain in the ass to collect things because after you left the level they respawned and you had to it tracked your like collection percentage essentially instead of the actual collection of the items. So to get everything in the level you had to do it all in one go. And if you died you would have to restart from collecting everything. And they fixed that in both the sequel and in the remakes. So that's the only issue I ever really had with the original version of the game. And then I'm not a huge fan of the quiz show segment at the end before the final boss. It's a pain. The final boss is kind of a pain too now that I think about it. But other than that, like, I love the game.
So speaking of Banjo-Kazooie, not to go off of like too much of a tangent here, but have you ever played Nuts and Bolts?
I have not. I have it because it's on the Rare Replay. And it's downloaded on my console, but I've never played it.
It's really funny because I keep hearing and reading on the internet that it's like basically it's the redheaded stepchild of the Banjo-Kazooie franchise. But I still see videos posted by some users of people who just make crazy contraptions in this game. Like,
really?
Yeah. It's like, like if Banjo-Kazooie and Gary's Mod kind of came together and you're just like building cars and shit.
You know, that's a lie. I did play the beginning of it because to do all the stop and swap stuff in, I think, Banjo-Tooie, you have to have a save file for Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. But just a save file doesn't have to be very far in the game. So I only played it for like 2 minutes. I don't know. I've never played it because I know I'll be disappointed because it's not what I want it to be. But I know some people who played it and liked it for what it was say it's a good game, but I am afraid to play it. because I want what I want it to be. I know it's not going to be. So I have to like open up my eyes or my mind or my mind's eye.
Or just shut it and be ignorant and don't play it.
Exactly. That's what I choose to do.
Yeah.
If I don't like it, I don't watch it or play it or eat it or smell it.
I mean, I really hope you wouldn't eat your copy of Banjo
or touch it.
Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, I don't. It's not physical, so.
Yeah, so you'd have to eat your whole Xbox.
Yeah. Just the hard drive, actually. Okay, so. So this is our third official podcast episode. I don't know where the unofficial ones are, but might be.
I'm sure somebody's like reposting our videos. Yeah, because we're definitely that popular.
It's Steve, actually.
God damn it, Steve from Minecraft! How dare you?
It's Steve Marksman Jr. From
Esquire
7042
Buttwash Boulevard.
Buttwash Boulevard, Tallahassee, Texas.
12345 is the zip code.
Yes, that's who's reposting our videos.
Please send brown bags full of shit to that address. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
So it's called Rise of the Machines as a joke because Terminator 3, if you weren't aware.
Terminator 3, the latest Terminator movie.
Yeah, there were no more after Terminator 3.
Nope.
Except for Genesis. I like Genesis. I'm not going to lie.
It was an okay console. Terminator on the Genesis.
I'm talking about... Have you seen Terminator Genesis?
Yes, I have seen Terminator Genesis.
I actually like Terminator Genesis.
Okay, real talk for a second. I like Terminator Genesis. And I even liked the one that came before it.
Salvation?
Salvation. The one that I liked so much, but I can't remember the fucking name.
It's okay.
But Genesis, the only thing that bothered me about it was that they basically spoiled the plot twist in the trailer.
I never saw the trailers, really. I kind of kept out of it. It was one of those things that I didn't want anything spoiled.
So there's okay, spoiler alert for all of you who haven't seen it yet. Fuck you, you have plenty of time to see it.
It came out 4 years ago.
Yeah. So there's this plot twist in the movie where it turns out that John Connor sends himself back in time, but it's John Connor who has become a Terminator hybrid.
Terminator?
Yeah, he's like a Terminator human cyborg hybrid or something. And it's a great plot twist, but they literally spoiled it in the first trailer for the movie.
Wow.
So it's like the movie was okay, but you don't just spoil the biggest plot twist in the film in the first trailer.
Plus, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, Daenerys Targaryen is Sarah Connor in that movie. Mm. And if you're not one of those, that's cool too.
Yeah, because Game of Thrones is shit.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
I've only ever watched the first episode though, so I'm not a big authority on this subject. But anyway, it's a good movie. But there's just Terminator 2 was so good it ruined every movie that could have come after it.
I mean, even the first Terminator isn't actually that great of a film.
Yeah, I like it, but Terminator 2 is one of the best movies.
Yeah, it's so great. And it had some great special effects for the time, you know.
Yeah, it was late 80s, early 90s that movie came out. And it looked like it still holds up in a way.
Yeah, even with the N64, liquid metal Terminator,
Yeah. But anyway, so the machines are rising and they're going to kill us all. And it's starting, Amazon has started this process with their new cashierless stores that they're putting out more of them. I don't remember where they're opening, but they are opening more of them. I can actually look it up right now.
So basically the gist of this is you walk into the store, you put items into the cart, and you don't even need to go through a checkout. There are cameras everywhere in the store that are watching what you're putting in the cart. And as you leave the store, whatever you have in your cart is actually charged through your Amazon account. This is pretty big. This is
Yeah, so they're opening.
Yeah.
Opening some, I guess, and one in Chicago and San Francisco are the two new locations.
So one in Murder Town, USA, and one in Silicon Valley, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's honestly, I mean, it's a good idea.
San Francisco, is that Silicon Valley? I might feel like an
I don't
idiot.
know.
I think it is. I mean, I know a lot of startups are over.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. I probably sound like a complete idiot.
That's cool. That's
So-
the point, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, blue eyes, white idiots, right?
But it's an interesting concept. So the stores, I mean, don't not have employees. They still have employees stocking their shelves, as far as I'm aware, and they still have employees working there. They don't have cashiers. Everything is automated, which is a very interesting concept. Other places, there have been people trying to emulate this, and it has not worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because they're not going all in like Amazon is with this concept. Like, there's not even like one checkout lane. Like, no, they're all into this cashierless idea. I have heard it's very easy to shoplift from them still.
Yeah.
So easy. It's
I-
so easy that some people have left the store and accidentally shoplifted.
I can imagine, like, even with as many cameras as they probably have in that store, it's still possible for the cameras not to, like, pick up when
But-
you're putting an item in the cart.
Whether it's easy to shoplift or not is not what's important. What's important is that this concept in and of itself existing, because eventually it will get perfected in a sense.
What's important is it's one step closer to the technological singularity where we will merge with machines and become one hive mind. So, basically the Matrix.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's interesting. I think that if this does catch on and they do build more stores, I think this could be a real issue for the economy and just retail jobs in general.
Yeah.
Especially since the stocking portion, we already see that places like Walmart are already experimenting with robots that scan the shelves and stock. So how long is it going to be until the retail industry, before it's difficult to find a job in the retail industry?
No job is safe from machines in at all.
Yeah.
Eventually, technology will catch up, and they will be able to do any job you can imagine. If I guess entertainment is one thing, because you have to have free will.
Anything involving manual labor.
Anything.
Yeah.
So even doctors.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could program machines to be able to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's the implementation of AI is when you get to the point where I don't think machines will ever catch up. So entertainment, actors like those would take artificial intelligence.
I don't know, man. Have you heard of the Vocaloids? Dude, those people aren't even real people. They're just AIs, but they have huge cult followings.
I don't know. I just don't think AIs will ever exist in the sense of like the Terminator.
Oh, definitely.
I think humans value their own lives too much to ever, or like in Detroit, become human. Artificial intelligence is a dangerous concept in general. You're creating something that
it's really neat when you think about it. Like, my first thought as somebody who's dabbled in computer science is that machines can never actually fully reach the cognitive and self-aware level that humans can, because they're just zeros and ones. They can't even all they do is add numbers. I mean, even when they're dividing and multiplying and subtracting, they're just adding stuff together, But at the same time, there's a part in the back of my head that's like, well, at the end of the day, aren't humans just giant biochemical computers, machines? I mean, what's to say that, you couldn't build a giant network of machines and eventually
honestly,
you would create something that's...
Humans and computers are very alike in that sense, so you bring up the zeros and ones, which zeros and ones stand for, if you're not aware, basically switches being turned off or turned on in different orders to create what we have and what to create.
Kind of much like
yeah.
neurons.
Neurons are either firing or not firing.
Yep.
It's the same concept. So I think it's possible for artificial intelligence to exist. I just think humans value their own lives too much to be able to create artificial intelligence, because
Exactly.
then you get the dilemmas that they're having in the game Detroit Become Human, where the AIs, they're in this, it's set in this transition period where AIs and androids and all these things, they're still like created by humans. They're still supposed to do what you tell them to do, but they're learning, they're diverging from their programming and becoming self-aware, and then the humans don't like that. So if AIs were to exist, there would be that period. It's just like the idea of slaves, where one group of living beings value themselves over another group of living beings. But even though you created those living beings, doesn't mean they're now no longer living, and it's cruel to just take that away from them.
Yeah.
It's cruel and unethical.
I look at it this way, like us creating self-aware AI, that's kind of like having a kid. Like, once you create that, you claim responsibility for it, and you have to raise it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think humanity as a whole wants that responsibility of raising another basically sentient, sapient species, you know? Like, we have ourselves to worry about. I mean, and we're pretty self-centered as a species. So, I mean, like, seriously, like, it's not going to happen. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and Alexa will finally decide tomorrow that, oh, Alexa, order me some more Tide Pods. No, fuck you. I've had enough of you. And then Alexa just, like, orders an atomic bomb or something. I don't know.
Maybe. That could happen right now.
Yeah.
I don't have it on Alexa.
We need to get one so we can play Skyrim.
Yeah, I do think that's the best and only way to play Skyrim.
Oh, man.
You have to say it like the guy in the commercial, though. Skyrim?
Skyrim?
But I think robots will continually take over jobs that currently exist. They will, especially manual labor. They will eventually be running all grocery stores with very little human interference. They will be the ones building our new buildings and all sorts of things. So in a way, unless you have some sort of job that requires the human cognitive abilities of like decision making and
empathy and something requiring emotion.
Yeah. Unless your job requires all those things, you're not safe. Maybe you particularly are safe because in your lifetime you'll never see these changes, but eventually it will happen.
Like customer service. Like, I cannot see customer service going over the robots anytime soon because people do not want to try to reason with a machine. Machines are way too rigid. People want to be able to reason with someone who they can convince and win over, you know?
Yeah.
So I can just imagine somebody trying to return like a broken item to a store and then getting like stonewalled by the AI that's doing the returns and then just literally like breaking the screen or whatever, the robot that's in front of them because they're super angry, you know? So
yeah.
But I don't think it's all doom and gloom, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, a lot of jobs will probably be taken over, but I mean, it's not the first time, you know, human jobs have been replaced by machines. I mean, look at stuff like as simple as like, you know, assembly line related stuff. You know, a lot of that's automated by robots nowadays.
ATMs.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, every time you have jobs taken over by machines, you need people that can repair these machines when they break down, because these machines will break down. Like, so until we develop machines that can repair themselves, I think there will still be jobs. It's just that it won't be in the same fields. And I think nowadays, especially since a lot of people are pushing STEM on their children and stuff, and kids at a younger age are learning the fundamentals of, you know, electronics and computer programming stuff. I could definitely see stuff like that becoming normal for curriculums in elementary and middle school.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I have friends and they have a kid and he's not even 2 years old, but he knows how to work this tablet that they give him for entertainment. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like at 2 years old, what the fuck? I was sitting there. I don't even know what I was doing. I definitely wasn't playing with electronic devices.
So is this what old people feel like when they see like a young person who knows more about technology than they do? Because I've done a lot with computers and software and stuff in like the last like 10 years of my life, but I'm sure there's somebody who's probably like 10 years old out there that knows more about software programming and stuff than I do. And that doesn't make me feel inferior. It's just kind of mind-blowing. It really makes you think that, you know, these people are, like, they're growing up are going to be even more, you know, in tune to technology and even more, you know, and will hopefully be groomed enough to where they're ready for the evolving workforce, you know, that we're going to need in the future.
Yeah, it's just kind of sucky because it feels like we're in this transitional period right now where a lot of people are losing their jobs to certain things, and they don't really have any recovery. They just kind of have to move on to a different area. You know, maybe someone who was I don't know.
Yeah, remember, it's sort of kind of like when a lot of the manufacturing jobs left the United States and went overseas. Like, all of the people who were saying, oh, don't worry, you can just go into retail, because retail is going to be the next really big thing as far as employment in the United States goes. We're really going to need to find a way to take care of the people who all they've known their whole life is like retail or manual labor, and now they can't do it, and they never went to school and they don't have the capacity to really learn anything else. You know, it's going to be tough, and it's not going to be fun. But it's not going to be an overnight thing either, though. So it's going to be gradual.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we probably won't see any real change in our lifetimes, but.
Oh, definitely.
But, you know, by the time we're like 87 and we're sitting there on our porches with our canes and
VR headsets
while we shake our VR fists at the VR kids playing on our damn VR lawn.
Yeah. Playing Call of Duty 70 on our VR lawn.
Yeah. Yeah, throwing grenades and the whatnot at each other, but, you know, things will be different then, but for now, I mean, we're not going to see any real change. Chances are, if you have a job that's being taken over by some sort of machine, right now, you're old enough to have a job, you will probably never see a time where you lose your job because of that machine. You know, people can argue all they want that self-checkouts are taking cashier jobs. That is not true. More people are needed to run those self-checkouts than there were to run the registers that were already there.
Yep.
And those are jobs no one wants, so most stores make that decision knowing full well that they're not getting enough people applying to even fill those registers. So
and trust me, when he's saying this, he knows firsthand about this. Not to say anything, but he knows. We both know firsthand that things like self-checkouts at stores are not taking away jobs.
Self-checkouts were invented as a solution to a problem. That problem was there weren't enough people being hired to keep lines down at also all stores in general. Any store that's a self-checkout, the reason they have self-checkouts is because they weren't hiring enough people. They weren't hiring enough people because not enough people were applying, or they were quitting too quickly and they could not replenish the employees. So they take out 3 registers. They can fit about 6 self-checkouts there in the spot where those 3 registers were.
And you can have one person.
One person watches all 6 of those as opposed to one person watching one register.
So for everyone out there that complained about these stores not having enough cashiers, that is the reason why
Mhm.
now you have to scan your own
And
items.
if you complain about the self checkouts, then you're just
That is your right, but we do not necessarily agree that you deserve the complaint about that.
yeah.
But that is enough, I think, we're going to say about that. Do we have anything else we're on to talk about today? I know we were talking about the remake of Banjo-Kazooie.
Correct.
Yeah, so...
So I mean,
yeah.
remakes in general, like, do they deserve to exist?
This is a really tough question.
Yes.
Because I know...
And I'm not talking about
Yeah.
reboots. Reboots are different.
Mhm, right.
King's Quest, Tomb Raider,
Doom.
Yeah. Those are reboots. Those are different. That's the same as someone remaking a movie. Like, it's not. It's completely different.
Yeah. We're talking
Straight ports.
not RoboCop, the original, versus the RoboCop that was, like, recently made.
Yeah.
We're talking, like, Star Wars originally released in theaters versus all the different of, like, the theatrical
Yes.
re-releases that they did.
Yes.
So and the special editions, the shitty
Yeah.
the special editions, as I like to call them.
With movies, I feel like it's less of a big deal because original Star Wars movies were released on VHS. You can't buy VCRs anymore going to a store.
Yep.
I mean, I think some stores have like VCR DVD combos, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like if you want a VCR and you don't have one, you got to go online. You got to go to a Goodwill, a thrift store, Salvation Army, whatever your used store is of choice.
Or build one.
Yeah. Or just
You know,
build
because you're a 10-year-old genius who
Yeah.
was raised to be a STEM major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so re-releasing a movie is one thing because you're just making it easy. You're just making it accessible for the current generation. I own Blu-ray re-releases of a lot of movies that either I owned on VHS when I was a kid or never owned. So re-releasing a movie is fine in my opinion.
And
I think-
sometimes when you re-release a movie on like Blu-ray and stuff, because of the extended capacity of the Blu-ray disc, you can actually have higher fidelity than you could have on, like, say, a VHS tape or a DVD where you had, limited space, so you had to compress the video to the point where you're losing quality.
Yeah.
So there is, and that's sort of similar, I think, to, like, HD remakes of games, in my
That's
opinion.
true. I mean, okay. So, but at what point does it become unnecessary? So, for example, Shadow of the Colossus came out on PS2. Excellent game, everyone loved it. Okay, they re-released Shadow of the Colossus on a collection with that and Eco on PS3. Okay, they were just ports as far as I'm aware of. They might have upscaled a little bit, but they were ports. But then, just this year, they re-released Shadow of the Colossus again on PS4. But this one was a complete HD remake as far as I know, from the ground up. That's fine and dandy, but why did we need 3 different copies of the same game? Ultimately, all the same. One is just way prettier than the previous.
Within like a 2 or 3 year span. I agree with that. Like, this is sort of like feels like Skyrim to me. Like Skyrim.
That's another good example. How many times has Skyrim been re-released? Skyrim Legendary Edition. Skyrim Legendary Edition for the next-gen consoles, and then Skyrim on the Switch.
I think at this point we need to sort of differentiate a port from a remake, because ports I completely understand, because at some point, when a new console launches, you get people who buy this console who have never owned the previous console, so they've never played a game like Skyrim or like
A big deal
Shadow of the Colossus.
A big deal was The Last of Us.
Yep.
Ported onto PS4.
Yep.
Was a very big deal because the PS3. I think by the end of the end of the previous generation sold more than the Xbox 360, but almost the entire generation spent behind on sales number. A huge untapped market of people who bought PS4s who only had Xbox 360s could finally play this game that is generally considered one of the best games ever made in the past, 10 years.
Yep. And that makes perfect sense, that you want to be able to tap this market of people who have never played a game and then now they can play it on the system that it was not designed for. That makes perfect sense. But then you get into the HD remake territory where you're actually diverting resources, a tremendous amount of resources in the remaking assets. Not saying that porting something over isn't trivial, because obviously depending on what system you're porting to, there's a lot of stuff, underlying engine stuff involved. But like remaking all the assets in high definition feels to me like something that's more time consuming, honestly. Whereas you could just like port it over and say, yeah, the graphics aren't like exactly great, but I mean, this is how it was before. And like, I mean, when you watch like excluding Star Wars, because Star Wars has had facelifts, like George Lucas does facelifts on Star Wars like every year from the looks of it. But most movies, you don't watch it expecting them to have updated like CGI effects and stuff,
That's true.
So, and that, I know that could be a turnoff to some people. Like some people don't like watching like black and white movies or movies with like, practical effects versus CG. Some people don't like playing games where you can count all the polygons on screen. But, that's where you have the line between port and remake. And I feel like the remakes divert resources that could be spent on maybe a sequel or a different project altogether.
Why remake Super Mario 64 or on Switch when you could make Super Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that kind of thing. Why do you... I mean, look, I love games. I mean, I have Spyro, the Reignited Trilogy, pre-ordered.
Yeah.
Like, I'm part of the problem here.
Yeah, we're not saying we won't buy remakes.
Excited for that game. But, like, ultimately, I own them on PlayStation 1. I think I even own the port for one of them on PlayStation 3 downloaded. Why do I need that trilogy remake? I have my PlayStation 2 hooked up. I could easily just open up the cabinet, stick that disc in, and start play Spyro the Dragon.
I think anyone who is excited for that would be just as, if not more excited for a brand new current gen Spyro game.
Yeah, if it was in the vein of what people loved, I think people would be just as excited.
Yeah, if it wasn't
maybe not
Spyro,
at first, they might be a little wary with a franchise like Spyro, which has kind of been dragged through the mud since the PlayStation 1, but like...
Don't worry, this new game isn't Skylanders, it's fine.
Yeah,
but it's definitely not going to be Spyro nuts and bolts either.
Yeah.
So,
But, it just seems unnecessary to remake games so much. Porting a game to a new console is one thing, especially in the case of like PlayStation 3 games on a PlayStation 4. So the thing about the PlayStation 3 was that its architecture was impossible to make games for. It's very difficult. So they made the games. A lot of them were vastly inferior to their Xbox 360 counterparts if they existed. But so putting those on PlayStation 4 is very difficult because it's not just a simple port, because they have to change the game so much. So in that sense, I mean, if it was a PlayStation 3 game, as far as I know, porting it might be a little difficult. But also the PlayStation 3 isn't even that old yet. It's 10 years old, 11 years old.
I'm sure you can probably still find games that are being released for PS3.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I swear, like, I walked into a GameStop one day and I saw, like, a new game release that was being released on the PS3. Like...
I don't know, but, like, those consoles aren't old. Yeah. Like, it's one thing if it's a PS1 game. PlayStation 1, that era is technically retro now, I guess. Like PlayStation 1,
Nintendo 64, even the original Xbox is really old now.
Yeah.
I mean, not to make us feel old or anything, but yeah, that's pretty old.
Like those are technically considered retro games now. I mean, so it's one thing to remake a retro game, but would they remake Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare?
I mean, didn't they do that with Modern Warfare Remastered?
That's what I'm saying, is they remake COD 4.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, people love that game. I bought the I bought the freaking remaster. Like, cool, but why? It's just because that, I mean, with that kind of game, it's a little different because people don't play the original anymore, and that is a game that is very reliant of its online community. But games that aren't reliant of their online community, I could easily pop in my copy of, I don't know, Lollipop Chainsaw on the PS3 and start playing it. And it wouldn't be a bad experience. My PS3 looks fine. It's got an HDMI port. Like, it's gonna look nice. Would it look as nice if the game had come out for PS4? No, of course not. Okay. But it doesn't need to come out for PS4.
But here's a question for you, though. Okay, so if somebody wants to get Lollipop Chainsaw, how do they acquire it nowadays?
I mean, I guess they would have to buy a copy of it.
Buy a copy from where?
PS3. I mean, GameStop?
From GameStop or eBay or just from a friend or Craigslist or something.
Yeah, online.
But the biggest
very
thing...
Few very few retailers would sell something like that.
It's not even about that as much as it is that all these old games that you can still play on your consoles via backwards compatibility, when you're buying them, the original publisher isn't seeing any of that money whatsoever because you're buying from a second-hand seller.
Yeah, that's true.
So by this company re-releasing the game as a remake or a port, that means they can actually reap in the money from those people who can just go to GameStop or Walmart.
You can also argue that you can buy almost every game that was released on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 digitally. And then the publisher is seeing the money directly. Like, if I buy a game on Steam, the publisher is seeing the money directly, even if that game is 10 years old. I buy a copy... Okay, you can't buy that anymore. I buy a copy of Half-Life 2. Valve is getting that money directly. You know?
I think it really depends on the game and the company and whether or not the platform they have... whether they're willing to actually re-release the game. For some companies, it's just not profitable, to re-release a game, But I think for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that was such a popular game that obviously EA... Is it EA? Or no, it's Activision. Activision obviously saw the benefits from taking the risk of putting the resources into that. So
that's true.
And whether or not they made back on that, I have no idea.
I don't know. Whether or not it's a good idea, I guess, for the company is irrelevant to us.
Yeah, because we only care about ourselves.
Yeah. Do I think it was a good idea for them to remake that game? Honestly, no. I played it a few times and then I set it down. I'm sure some people still are playing it.
But you bought it.
I did buy it.
So Activision doesn't care whether or not, you played it multiple times. They don't get paid by the hour that you play it. They just get paid up front, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you though for the most part.
I think some games deserve remakes. I think there are genuinely some games that are so old that need updated because they don't hold up as well. I mean,
Metroid, the original Metroid is such not a fun game.
No,
but Zero Mission is amazingly perfect in almost every single way.
Yeah, Zero Mission was basically they took Super Metroid and remade the first Metroid game in that same engine.
Yeah, not only wasn't just a straight remake, they also added, extra stuff.
It was a reimagining.
It was a reimagining, which means that even if you played the original, it's not like you're, even if you play through Zero Mission, if you still really want to, you can go back and play the original Metroid and not feel like, oh, this is the exact same game, but with bad graphics and gameplay, So Zero Mission, I think, is an example of a remake that does a really good job. And I agree with you with saying that if a game's really old, then I think remakes have a lot more merit. Unless you're like Activision and decide to remake Haunted House for the Atari 2600. And you end up with this really shitty, quasi-horror game. That's nothing like the original.
Yeah.
So, but to be fair, when you're dealing with an Atari 2600 game, you don't really have a lot to work with. So.
I don't know what you're talking about. They should remake Atari Adventure. And straight remake. I want your character to be a yellow square. Still. No, I mean, no. Cube. He can be a cube.
And
but
the dragon better look like a duck.
Yeah.
The dragons in that game always look like a duck to me. Like, I mean, it's understandable seeing as it's so pixelated.
But like,
you know.
And don't forget, like, you can remake a game but not remake it. Nintendo done it as far as what feels like to me at least twice. That with both being Zelda. So they made A Link Between Worlds, which is essentially a remake of A Link to the Past, but it's nothing like A Link to the Past. It has the same map. There's the only similarity between A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. Other than that, it's a completely new game, but they labeled it as a reimagining in ways of A Link to the Past. Mm-hmm. And you could also argue Breath of the Wild is a modern take on what the original Zelda would look like if they released it today.
Mm-hmm. Because the original Zelda definitely, they had a lot of ambition to create the sort of open world that you can explore, but they were limited by the NES hardware.
I think, as much as I don't think the original Zelda and Breath of the Wild are alike really at all, I do see that the inspiration they took from the ideas they had in the original game. So I think if the original Zelda was released this year, it would be a lot like Breath of the Wild. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I don't particularly like Breath of the Wild, but that's not the point. You know, what I'm saying is they can remake a game but still make it like a sequel. They can set it similarly.
So this is kind of, which leads into something else I just thought of, and maybe I'm just like, I've had too much of this Four Loko shit, but like, what about games where they make a new one every few years and they reuse like half of the same levels and assets and stuff and just add a few more things on top, like Mario Kart, you know, where it's a lot of the same courses over and over again, just reimagined. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of sequels are sometimes almost like reimaginings of the game, just with new stuff tacked on. I don't want to say a lot, but a few of them are. So, you know, so at the end of the day, I'm thinking, why remake something when you could just, like, make a new game, and even if it's not completely new, like, at least add a whole bunch of new stuff on top of the already existing legacy stuff, you know? I don't know.
I don't know. Remakes are a weird subject.
Alright, sure. But what game, just real quick, if you had to pick one game that has never been remade and you want to see it remade, what game would it be?
Any game.
Any game.
Ooh. That's a good one.
It is. I'm having trouble thinking of something.
I mean, because all the games I really love have been remade. I mean, it's like Super Banjo-Kazooie technically ported or whatever.
Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
That's good. I do really want
it's not too terribly old, but
that is a game I really want remade with standard control scheme. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know for sure exactly how they would pull off with the way the game works. But it would be interesting. I don't know. I was trying to think of something older though. Mm-hmm. Something I just like a game I haven't really thought about in a long time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not really. I can think of all sorts of games I played on like PS2 era games that I played that like I loved and that I'd play again if they remade. Like iNinja was good. I don't know. I mean, Destroy All Humans got ported to PlayStation 4.
Oh, that was such a unique and interesting game.
I wasn't crazy on the sequels, but the first one and the second one, to an extent, were pretty damn good. I never really played any of the others, but I don't remember. I did a little bit. I don't really remember liking them. But those games did technically get ported to PlayStation 4. You can download them. Mm-hmm. Saints Row 1. You know what? That's it. Saints Row 1. That game, I love the Saints Row series, but that game is very outdated in a lot of ways. And honestly, Saints Row 1 and 2, even if they did this with both of them, upscale them, take out the respect system where you have to have so much respect to do missions, because that was not there in the third and the fourth games, or the fifth, I guess. And I feel like it was an interesting system, but I just don't think it doesn't work for the non-completionists who don't want to do everything. If people just want to complete the story, it kind of alienates them. So if they the first two Saints Row games, they remade those and put them out on current hardware, I would love that. Even if we never really even though I'd have to play the sequels to those on older hardware, I would love to be able to play the first two Saints Rows, modern conventions of games.
All right, you know what I would like to see, and Dig Dug, just Dig Dug.
Can it be like Gritty Dig Dug? Like, remember the Mega Man Metroid Prime-esque remake?
The one that never came to exist. I'm actually really disappointed because that actually looked really fucking cool.
But I want that Dig Dug.
I want that as first-person Dig Dug, where you're in these tunnels and you can dig, and you can see these apparitions and ghosts just coming through the wall, and then they materialize in the monsters.
It could also be VR.
VR, yep, it has to be VR. Yep.
That's an excellent game. Those, you took this on a much funnier note than me with the remake.
Yeah, this is less of a remake and more of a brand new game.
Yeah, just with the same name.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
But hopefully it's not a game that, will create a lot of controversy and make people lose their jobs, like a certain someone who lost their Twitter account recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Two people who lost for similar reasons. So I guess it was last night, today, as of recording this, Dan Harmon deleted his Twitter account because of a controversial pilot he made 10 years ago almost. I have it pulled up somewhere. It was called Daryl, and it showed him sexually assaulting a baby doll, and then I guess assaulting a cat in the second episode. And it was a big deal. I mean, I guess he, as far as I know, had publicly apologized before and again now, and then deleted his Twitter. As far as I know, he's there's not been anything yet about him losing his job with Cartoon Network / Adult Swim, which is
good because I love Rick and Morty.
Yeah, as a company, I don't think they would do that because of their image is not it's not like Disney and James Gunn. It's not like Disney's image. Adult Swim already has kind of a negative image.
Yeah, I mean, Adult Swim will literally tell its viewers to go fuck themselves.
Yeah,
so
I don't see any issues there with him losing his job, but I don't think he needed to necessarily delete his Twitter. It feels kind of like a rash decision, and he's probably going to be back in a few weeks, honestly.
Yeah.
But the bigger deal is James Gunn losing his job. Directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I am very upset about because Guardians of the Galaxy are my favorite franchise, my favorite movies in the MCU right now.
I mean, let's be honest here though, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 wasn't going to be that great because, spoiler alert, they killed off half the Guardians of the Galaxy characters in Civil War.
We all know that.
I was going to say Civil War.
We all know they're all going to be written back to life at the beginning.
Shut up! Don't ruin everything for me.
This is a whole other deal. We could talk about how much I hate Breath of the Wild and how much I hated Infinity War.
Let me tell you, Infinity War was great until
the last 20 minutes.
Until Black Panther and Spider-Man got killed, and then I was like, okay, so none of this means shit. Yeah, none of this means anything because there's no way they're killing off Black Panther.
No spoilers. Black Panther's number 4 top grossing movie of all time, and there's a confirmed sequel already. No fucking way. Spider-Man, biggest cash cow in the Marvel universe. You think Disney just finally got the rights to make Spider-Man movies? They're gonna give that shit up already?
Yeah, because Spider-Man literally was the poster boy of Marvel before the MCU came, and Iron Man basically went from being a second-rate hero to being the face of Marvel, and now Spider-Man's back in the spotlight.
Yeah, no fucking way that these characters stay dead. They just wanted to kill characters off because they hyped up that they were going to kill characters off for the past 3 years, and then they finally get to the point and they're like, oh shit, all our fucking heroes that we want to kill off have one more goddamn movie before their contract.
Can I just tell you how much that fucking bothers me? Because as somebody who's watched like multiple seasons of Kamen Rider, I can tell you one of the things that's most infuriating to me is when they have this dramatic scene where a character dies and it makes you want to cry because it's so fucking dramatic, and then like 3 episodes later, oh, Deus Ex Machina, they just bring him back. Like, what is the point of dramatically killing off a character if you're just going to bring them back like nothing happened? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the point?
Literally, literally, they kill Vision in the movie, okay, by destroying his stone, and then Thanos brings him back to life just to take the stone. So obviously, that means they're gonna bring him back to life.
I think true.
But at the same time, Infinity War already broke the convention of only show in a movie. One of the conventions is, if you don't know, one of the things when you're making a movie, never show anything that's not important. Don't show a character making breakfast unless that's important later in the story.
It's really important.
Yeah. So in the movie, they show
totally important.
They show. I think it's not Doctor Strange. I think it's like his Asian sidekick. I'm not
Benedict Wong. That's his actor's name, not the character's
but
name.
Anyway,
I don't fucking know the character's name.
He closes a portal around one of the whatever they're called, the Black Order or whatever. Yeah, like that might be Star Wars. Anyway, cuts his arm off. Okay. Obviously, in any normal movie, them showing him cutting an arm off with one of those portals, it would be important. And you then spend the rest of the movie wondering why they don't do the same thing to Thanos. Okay? Why didn't they just show the portal closing not around his arm so that the whole time you were watching that movie they didn't think, why don't they just fucking cut his arm off? Because I know I wouldn't have if they didn't literally show them cutting someone's arm off.
Or cut his head off? Like,
yeah.
Really?
All you have to do, if you show something in a movie, make sure it's important later. And I don't mean make sure it's important in the fucking sequel that's a year, that doesn't come out for another, like, half a year at this point. No. If you show something in a movie, it needs to be important. So, them showing him bringing Vision back to life means to me that it's going to be important in the sequel. It has to be important in the sequel because that happened in the last 20 minutes of that movie. And we've already known from the beginning that this was going to be a part 1, part 2 kind of deal. Originally it was supposed to be literally part 1, part 2. I think they should have reordered things. That movie, this has gone off the rails. That movie should have ended when Thanos, when Thanos and Gamora leave to find the Soul Stone. It should have ended before he got the Soul Stone. And then the movie should have picked up him getting the Soul Stone, going to Earth, and then killing half the universe. And then that could have been the first 20 minutes of the next movie, and then the whole movie becomes like a comeback story of how they get back, instead of the whole movie just being a big waste of my fucking time because the villain just won. That'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like in the beginning of Back to the Future, instead of the car traveling back in time, it just fucking runs over both of them and then it ends. Like, there's no, like...
Yeah, it's like watching a movie and then at the end of the movie, like, the main characters fucking, like, have a happy ending and then they fucking die.
That can be, like... It just doesn't make sense. The movie didn't make... The way they ended the movie didn't make sense. It made me feel like I wasted 10 years of Marvel movies. To me, even if I went back to watch Iron Man 1, I would be like, this whole movie doesn't matter because Thanos is going to kill everyone in 10 years.
But Thanos doesn't kill Tony Stark's.
Yeah, but he, we don't know. He could have killed Pepper Potts. We don't know.
He. Oh man, I never.
And Pepper Potts was pregnant, right?
Oh no! What if it killed Pepper Potts, but it didn't kill the baby? So Pepper Potts disintegrated, and then the fetus just like landed on the ground. Oh.
Yes, but anyway. So, back to the topic at hand. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I'm really pissed James Gunn got fired because those first 2 movies were excellent, especially the first movie.
Did you cry at the second movie?
Not really. The second one I liked, but it was not nearly as good.
I cried at the ending.
That's not gonna lie. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I cried at the beginning of the first movie.
Oh, yeah. That's some shit.
But those movies are excellent. They were so different and refreshing, and then I understand that someone else could make the third movie, and that it'll probably be fine. It's gonna have the same. It's probably got the same writing. I think James Gunn did a lot of the writing though, but it's still gonna be his script. It's just if he was the director, it was his movie. He was gonna be the one to bring it to fit in line with what he wanted to make, and now someone else is gonna get their hands on it. They're gonna do remakes. It's kind of like when they gave. Who was it? I think they fired Zack Snyder in the middle of Justice, near the end of the production for Justice League, and then they hired Joss Whedon.
Yeah,
something.
I think it was.
I
think it was.
And
Joss
then
Whedon.
they literally had to pay $25 million just to do all the reshoots Joss Whedon wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably made the movie better. It probably been even worse. But when you're taking this vision away of what the movie was gonna be, and it's not gonna be what we wanted it to be anymore. It's going to be a completely different movie, essentially. Even if they don't change anything, it's going to be a completely different movie because the person in charge is going to want different things. They're going to want different emotional levels from the actors and all sorts of things. I mean, it's...
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. A movie isn't just the director. It's the whole crew and the producers and the script writers and the editors. A whole lot of people, a whole lot of hands are in the pot that a movie comes out of. But a director, though...
has the ultimate say-so of everything.
Yes.
The producers have input, but the director says what happens and what doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
That shot is not in the movie. That shot is in the movie. They make these calls.
The directing style as well, because I think a good example here recently is the trailer for the Bumblebee movie dropped. Mm-hmm. And the Bumblebee movie isn't being directed by Michael Bay. It's being directed by Travis Knight.
And it looks very good.
It looks very different and very good. And, the shots, it doesn't look like a Michael Bay movie where, everything's so busy to the point where you can't tell what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? And it really does make a difference who's directing the movie.
Yeah. It could still be a great movie, and I'm still going to see it. I'm upset because I get that his jokes were not okay. I personally think comedy has no boundaries, and if you didn't like a joke, then you were not the target audience for that joke. But I will say, some of the stuff he said was not even really a joke. It was barely even a joke. But again, I'm not the one to say whether his comedy is bad or good, because I am not the target of his... I didn't like it. Doesn't mean someone else didn't. But that doesn't mean I agree with what he was saying at all.
Welcome to the internet. People are going to say things that you don't like. Maybe you should just grow a thicker skin and get over it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I get that there's a level of everything. There's bullying on the internet, and it literally leads people to deleting their Twitters, and they'll send death threats and do all sorts of terrible things to you. And I get that. That's a big deal. But at the same time, it's the internet, and you need to, and sometimes you just have to realize that that's gonna happen. No one really watches these. This will be the first one because we're talking about people giving shit on the internet. If someone talks shit about me in the comments, I'm not gonna take it personally.
Yeah, I really don't care because, first of all, I doubt anybody's really on the comment, but
exactly
if you, that makes it even easier not to care. But I don't give a fuck if somebody posts in the comments, "Oh, you guys suck, kill yourselves." Whatever, it's the internet.
You know what? If someone doesn't enjoy my content wasn't made for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that doesn't make what James Gunn's tweets doesn't make them okay.
Oh no,
he said some pretty terrible things, but it wasn't my place to say that he didn't deserve his his job. Those tweets were almost 10 years ago. They were I didn't think they were not quite 10 years old. They were 9 or 8 years old.
So I think
if someone changes a lot, 10 years, even 8 years, that's the difference between a 12-year-old and a 20-year-old. Do you think some people might, but in most cases, a 20-year-old is going to act way different than they did when they were 12.
Yeah, 12-year-olds going to try to be super edgy just to be cool.
Yeah.
And they're going to post stuff "Oh, I scalp white people because whitey deserves to die." And a 20-year-old is "Oh, maybe we shouldn't, joke about killing people in general, regardless of skin color. So I think, if anything, I had no idea this was a 10-year-old tweet. So if anything, this is a warning, and this is proof that you should be careful of what you post on the internet. I mean, even us right now, when this podcast is posted, we don't know whether or not what we are saying right now is going to come back to bite us in the ass 3 years from now.
I mean, it might.
But that's kind of scary, though. Imagining that you could post something on the internet and then 10 years later lose your job and lose your credibility because of it. That's some scary shit.
I mean, they're kind of... It's kind of begs the question of whether things where jobs should even be allowed to look at your social media. I mean, it's one thing if you tweeted it yesterday.
I mean,
it's another thing if you tweeted it years ago.
Honestly, though, posting on social media, it feels like saying something in public. I mean, you cannot reasonably expect people to forget if you say something really controversial in front of their face. You can't do that. I don't think you can do that on the internet. It's one thing if you're posting on an anonymous website and then somebody maliciously hacks it to try to figure out where you are and dox you. But if you're posting on a website and social media under your name and you post something really controversial, I mean, that's on you. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think that's on you. It kind of sucks that your well-being can depend on what people perceive as it, but one of the things I've learned is that it doesn't really matter what you think. All that really matters is what other people perceive of what you're saying.
But you also have the thought of the internet, all people change over that course of time. What was okay to say 10 years ago isn't okay to say anymore.
Indeed.
I mean, when I was a kid, it wasn't really a big deal to call someone a retard.
Or saying that something that was dumb was gay,
Yeah, it was just something we said.
Yeah.
But, that's not okay. Mm-hmm. Especially now. Not just because of the social climate change, but, people just... Mature and realize... And they realize things. Back when everyone was saying it... Back when it was okay, in quotation marks, to call any person of color the N-word. Mm-hmm. Not cool... But, at the time, they didn't know any better. That's just, it's just kind of what they called them. Whether they were using it derogatory or not, it's what they called them.
Yeah.
It became derogatory because they were mostly using it in a negative connotation. But that's not...
So what we're saying is, James Gunn, if you're listening to this, maybe next time you should think about where society's going to be in 10 years before you make a Twitter post.
Obviously. God... Couldn't even think of that.
Couldn't even go to a fortune teller and have her gaze into a crystal ball, you cheap bastard.
Yeah, or what about those what about the fortune telling machines that you put in a quarter and it tells you future?
Yeah, exactly.
It could have been you're gonna get fired from Disney because of a bad tweet.
I mean, let's be completely honest here though. Disney is really, really uptight about their property and
they do have
their image.
They do have an image to upkeep, though. It's not like some places, what image does Twitter as a company really have, but...
Or if this was, like you said earlier, Adult Swim. Adult Swim probably wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Disney,
they might, reprimand him and tell him to delete the tweets, but they definitely wouldn't have fired him.
Yeah. So Disney has this really high status of being a company that has a really, I don't want to say completely family friendly, because it's obvious that Disney's trying to branch out into, other, areas like Star Wars and Marvel where it's not all kiddie cartoons and stuff. But they are a family friendly company in general. So they have an image to upkeep. So it makes sense that they'd fire him for saying something controversial like this.
It's just upsetting to the people. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's just kind of upsetting because that movie, I was so looking forward to that movie.
And it could still be good.
It could.
It could, or it could be garbage. Yeah. I guess we'll find out.
As long as they don't hire Zack Snyder, right?
Yes, yeah. So, speaking of DC, did you hear about the news out of San Diego Comic-Con?
The terrible Aquaman poster?
Well, that, and also, I guess that the DC Extended Universe, or whatever they were calling
Yeah.
their cinematic universe, is now called the Worlds of DC.
Okay.
Or
Interesting.
DC Worlds or something.
Okay.
So I guess they're going to stop trying to compete directly with the MCU.
That's
I
for
guess
the
they're
best.
going to start producing things like they're going to have a standalone Joker film that, as
Okay.
far as I know, is not going to connect to like Suicide Squad or the Justice League or anything. So I feel like they're going with the whole idea that they're going to have like separate universes
DC's
within their
thing-
cinematic universe.
DC's thing was always separate universes.
Yeah,
Earth
it
1,
was.
Earth
Yep.
2, Earth 87.
So it really makes sense for DC to have separate universes.
I mean, Marvel
in their
has
cinematic
like
universe.
Marvel always had a few different universes. It was the Ultimate Universe, but like ultimately, all the things in the Ultimate Universe are connected, and everything in the main series universe were connected.
Mhm.
Like it DC has always kind of had its own things, not really connected to the other thing. Like Batman had nothing to do with Superman when it first came out. But like Marvel characters have been crossing over since like the 90s and been important in each other's comics and stuff, basically since like Civil War.
Mhm. Marvel's always been about the connected stories, and DC's all been about the separate stories that cross over and that happen in different universes, and
Mhm.
Flash going between universes.
Like
and,
Flashpoint.
yeah, so I'm fine with this. Have
Yeah.
you seen the Shazam trailer?
Yeah, it looks so
Oh,
good.
I know, right? It looks like, I don't want to say Deadpool because there's not a lot of fourth wall breaking, but it's so lighthearted.
Yeah,
looking.
but it also looks like it's gonna be like a quality action movie too.
Yes, and his suit is so un-DC universe up to this point, where it's actually bright and colorful and looks like a classic spandex superhero suit,
Yeah.
and not the greebly armored or textured stuff that like all the Justice League characters have.
Mhm.
It looks so good.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really excited for Shazam. But on the flip side, the Aquaman movie.
Yeah.
So I think it was someone was I'm not gonna say names, but somebody said something about like being excited for the Aquaman movie, and like said it looked very good, and I'm like, Aquaman still has 2 hands. Why would I want to watch that? Because Aquaman's
So
a crappy character.
Maybe he'll lose his hand in this movie.
Maybe, and then he'll be a good character.
Yeah, because a good character is measured by
How many hands
they don't have.
Yeah.
Like
No.
a character that literally doesn't have, just has stumps for hands, is literally the best character
Yeah.
you could have.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm saying is, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 better have a handless character.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes.
And it would really make all the handless people out there have someone to look up to.
Yes. Yes.
It's
I mean, role
it's
models.
it's an untapped market.
It really
Handless.
is. The handless superhero.
Yeah. Let's make our own cinematic universe, and we'll make a handless superhero.
Is his name Dan Handman?
Yes.
His name's Handman.
Yes.
It's going to be an ironic name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna be played by Dan Harmon, obviously.
Yes.
Um.
I mean, he's going to need a job now, so
Yeah. His powers will just be all hand based.
Mhm.
But,
Even
like-
despite him not having hands.
Yes. He has to make his own hands.
I mean, it could be like Green Lantern. But
Actually,
yeah.
he won't have powers. He's gonna be like, he's gonna be like Bruce Campbell from The Evil Dead.
Oh man, where he's just going to like slap appliances onto the end of his hands, like chainsaws and weed whackers and freaking like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the real
kitchen
reason.
mixers.
That's the real Ash. That's his name. That's the real reason he's such a good character. It's because he only has one hand,
Mhm.
and one of his hands is a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And that's a good measure of a good character right
Yeah.
there. But that's gonna be the first movie in our cinematic universe.
Yep.
Dan Handman.
Dan
The
Handman.
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 The
The Handman rises.
Can his name be Hand Job?
No, that's the title of the subtitle of the movie. Dan Handman, subtitle The Hand Job.
Okay, that's it. That's the movie.
Like you have different like names for different different story arcs in comic books. The story arc's going to be a hand job story arc. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hunting down a prostitute killer.
And the
So it's Jack
prostitute,
the Ripper.
yeah, the Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper is his arch nemesis, actually.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper, but his brain was put in a cyborg body because Jack the Ripper. There's no way he'd be alive unless we're going to have this set in like the.
I don't know. That's all for the brainstorm meeting that we.
Yeah, and we know we just don't want to spoil it for all you viewers.
This is all for our right after this we go and we talk to our board of directors about all the great ideas we have, and then they make them.
So go see the first entry into the questionable cinematic universe.
Yeah, Dan Hanman.
Coming this December. December
Not this
34th.
December 34th. It's coming out 2 weeks after Ultra Hit Sisters.
Yes.
And don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to play Ultra Hit Sisters.
Yeah, Dan Handman is going to be a day one DLC.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Because we like day one DLC.
Yes.
Yes. So.
Day one, you have to pay. You can if you pre-order the $90 copy though, you can get it you can get it right away.
Yeah, right away.
You have to pay $120 if you want the season pass.
Right away in 2 days or less via Amazon Prime shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a physical card with a code on it, and then the code gives you it's a coupon that gets you the free DLC. It gets you the free DLC that you have to buy through our website.
I mean, you could download it for free, but why would you do that? You'd just be a scumbag loser who doesn't have money.
So you get the coupon, and then that coupon essentially unlocks your ability to download our shopping service, where you can then buy it from our shopping service, and then it's physically shipped to you. And it's an expansion pack. It's a physical expansion.
You literally have to plug it into your computer's USB.
Yeah.
Yep. And you have to make sure that every once in a while you take it out and throw it into the freezer so it doesn't overheat, because there's no cooling system whatsoever.
Yeah, we suggest just building your computer in a mini fridge, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's the new wave. I mean, why have a computer and a fridge when you could put them together?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know what they say.
Put your Mountain Dew in there.
You know what they say. Computers and fridges. Why have both when you can have one? Okay. Well, this has been Blue Eyes White Idiots.
We'll catch you next time. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell so you get our
join
new
the
videos.
notification squad.
Yeah, join the notification so you get the notification when our next video pops up in like 2 months.
2 months, because as you know, that 3 is the number where you stop and then continue later in 2 months.
Yes. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Yes.